Hare Krishna. Let me start my reading. Hare Krishna. Thank you everyone for joining today's session. Let us start with our prayers. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिधि नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे हरे. We were reading we read till 14th shloka. So we'll start with 15th. The learned Brahmanas, who were very satisfied with the charities of the king, addressed him as a chief amongst the Purus and informed him that his son was certainly in the line of descent of the Purus. Translation purport by Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Sri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare Krishna Sapan Prabhu. Hare Krishna Sapan Kumar Prabhu.
Prabhuji, I have some issue. Just give me 2 minutes.
So, I'll go with another devotee. Hare Krishna Yogesh Prabhu.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Translation. The Brahmanas said, "This spotless son has been resorted by the all-powerful and all-pervasive Lord Vishnu, the personality of Godhead, in order to oblige you. He was saved when he was doomed to be destroyed by an irresistible supernatural weapon." Purport. The child Parikshit was saved by the all-powerful and all-pervasive Vishnu Lord Krishna for 2 reasons. The first reason is that the child is in the womb of his mother was spotless due to his being a pure devotee of the Lord. The second reason is that the child was the only surviving male descendant of Puru, the pious forefather of the virtuous king Yudhishthira. The Lord wants to continue the line of pious kings to rule over the earth as his representatives for the actual progress of a peaceful and prosperous life. After the battle of Kurukshetra, even up to the next generation of Maharaj Yudhishthira was annihilated, and there were none who could generate another son. In the great royal family, Maharaj Parikshit, the son of Abhimanyu, was the only surviving heir apparent in the family. And by the irresistible supernatural Brahmastra weapon of Ashwathama, he was forced to be annihilated. Lord Krishna is described herein as Vishnu, and this is also significant. Lord Krishna, the original personality of Godhead, does the work of protection and annihilation in his capacity of Vishnu. Lord Vishnu, in the plenary expansion of Lord Krishna, the all pervasive activities of the Lord are executed by him in his Vishnu feature. Child Parikshit is described here as spotlessly white because he is an unalloyed devotee of the Lord. Such unalloyed devotee of the Lord appear on the earth just to execute the mission of the Lord. The Lord desires the conditioned souls hovering in the material creation to be reclaimed to go back home, back to Godhead. And thus, he helps them by preparing the transcendental literatures like the Vedas, by sending missionaries of saints and sages, and by deputing his representative. The spiritual master the spiritual master. Such transcendental literatures, missionaries, and representatives of the Lord are spotlessly white because the contamination of the material qualities cannot even touch them. They are always protected by the Lord when they are threatened with annihilation. Such foolish threats are made by the gross materialists. The Brahmastra which was thrown by Ashwathama at the child Parikshit was certainly supernaturally powerful, and nothing of the material world could resist its force of penetration. But all powerful Lord, who is present everywhere, within and without, could could counterattack could counteract could counteract it by his all powerful potency just to save a bona fide servant of the Lord and descendant of another devotee, Maharaj Yudhishthira, who was always obliged by the Lord by his causeless mercy. Hare Krishna.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Hesi Bhaktivedanta Sri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare Krishna Sapan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Translation. For this reason, the child will be well known in the world as one who is protected by the personality of Godhead. O most fortunate one, there is no doubt that this child will become a first-class devotee and will be qualified with all good qualities. Purport. The Lord gives protection to all living beings because He is the supreme leader. The Vedic hymns confirm that the Supreme Lord is the supreme personal among all personalities. The difference between the two living beings is that the personality of Godhead, provides for all other living beings, and by knowing Him, one can achieve eternal peace. Katha Upanishad. Such protection is given by His different potencies to different grades of living beings. But as far as His unalloyed devotees are concerned, He gives the protection personally. Therefore, Maharaj Parikshit is protected from the very beginning of his appearance in the womb of his mother. And because he is especially given protection by the Lord, the indication must be concluded that the child would be a first grade devotee of the Lord with all good qualities. There are three grades of devotees, namely Mahabhagavata, Madhyama Adhikari, and Kanishta Adhikari. Those who go to the temples of the Lord and offer worshipful respect to the deity without sufficient knowledge in the theological science and therefore without any respect for the devotees of the Lord are called materialistic devotees or Kanishta Adhikari, the third grade devotees. Secondly, the devotees who have developed a mentality of genuine service to the Lord and who thus make friendships only with similar devotees, show favor to the neophytes, and avoid the atheists are called the second grade devotees. But those who see everything in the Lord or everything of the Lord and also see in everything an eternal relation of the Lord, so that there is nothing within their purview of sight except the Lord, are called the Mahabhagavatas or the first grade devotees of the Lord. Such first grade devotees of the Lord are perfect in all respects. A devotee who may be in any of these categories is automatically qualified by all good qualities, and thus a Mahabhagavata devotee like Maharaj Parikshit is certainly perfect in all respects. And because Maharaja Parikshit took his birth in the family of Maharaj Yudhishthira, he is addressed herein as Mahabhagavata or the greatest of the fortunates. The family in which a Mahabhagavata takes his birth is fortunate because due to the birth of a first grade devotee, the members of the family, past, present, and future, up to 100 generations, become liberated by the grace of the Lord out of respect for his beloved devotee. Thus, the highest benefit is done to one's family simply by becoming an unalloyed devotee of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Lord 18. Translation and purport by Divine Grace Hesi Bhaktivedanta Sri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare Krishna Sanjay Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Translation. The good king Yudhishthira inquired, O great souls, will he become as saintly a king, as pious in his very name, and as famous and glorified in his achievements as others who appeared in this great royal family? Purport. The forefathers of King Yudhishthira were all great saintly kings, pious and glorified by their great achievements. They were all saints on the royal throne, and therefore all the members of the state were happy, pious, well-behaved, prosperous, and spiritually enlightened. Under strict guidance of the great souls, and spiritual injunctions, such great saintly kings were trained up, and as a result, the kingdom was full of saintly persons and was a happy land of spiritual life. Maharaja Yudhishthira was himself a replica of his ancestors, and he desired that the next king after him become exactly like his great forefathers. He was happy to learn from the learned Brahmanas that by astrological calculations the child would be born a first great devotee of the Lord, and more confidently, he wanted to know whether the child was going to follow in the footsteps of his great forefathers. That is the way of the monarchical state. The reigning king should be a pious, chivalrous devotee of the Lord and fear personified for the upstarts. He must also live and hire apparent equally qualified to rule over the innocent citizens. In the modern setup of the democratic states, the people themselves are fallen to the qualities of the Shudras or less, and the government is run by their representatives, who is ignorant of the scriptural mode of administrative education. Thus, the whole atmosphere is surcharged. The Shudra qualities manifested by lust and avarice, such administrators quarrel every day among themselves. The cabinet of ministers changes often due to party and group selfishness. Everyone, want, everyone wants to exploit the state resources till he dies. No one retires from political life unless forced to do so. How can such low grade men do good to the people? The result is corruption, intrigue, and hypocrisy. They should learn from the Srimad Bhagavatam how idle the administrators must be before they can be given charge of different posts. Hare Krishna.
12.90. Translation purport by Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna, Sri Ganesh Prabhu.
Translation. The learned Brahmana said, O son of Partha, O son of Pritha, this child shall be exactly like King Ikshvaku, son of Manu, in maintaining all those who are born and as for following the Brahmanical principles, especially in being true to his promise. He shall be exactly like Rama, the person of Godhead, the son of Maharaja Dasratha. Purport. Praja means the living being who has taken his birth in this material world. Actually, the living being has no birth and no death, but because of his separation from the service of the Lord and due to his desire to lord it over material nature, he is offered a suitable body to satisfy his material desires. In doing so, one becomes conditioned by the laws of material nature, and the material body is changed in terms of his own work. The living entity thus transmigrates from one body to another in 84 lakh species of life, but due to his being the part and parcel of the Lord, he not only is maintained with all necessaries of life by the Lord, but also is protected by the Lord and his representatives. The saintly kings These saintly kings give protection to all prajas or living beings to live and to fulfill their terms of imprisonment. Maharaj Pariksith was actually an ideal saintly king because while touring his kingdom, he happened to see that a poor cow was about to be killed by personified Kali, whom he had once took to task as a murderer. This means that even the animal were given protection by saintly administrator, not from any sentimental point of view, but because those who have taken their birth in the material world have the right to live. All the saintly kings beginning from the king of the sun globe down to the king of the earth are so inclined by the influence of Vedic literature. The Vedic literatures are taught in higher planets also. as there is reference in the Bhagavad Gita about the teachings to the sun god by the Lord, and such lessons are transferred by disciple succession, as it was done by the sun god to his son Manu, and from Manu to Maharaj Ikshvaku. There are 14 Manus. There are 14 Manus in one day of Brahma, and Manus referred to herein is the seventh Manu, who is one of the Prajapatis, and he is the son of the sun god. He is known as a Vaivasvata Manu. He had 10 sons. Maharaj Ikshvaku is one of them. Maharaj Ikshvaku also learned Bhakti Yoga as taught in Bhagavad Gita from his father, Manu, who got it from his father, the sun god. Later on, teaching of the Bhagavad Gita came down by disciple succession from Maharaj Ikshvaku, but in course of time, the chain was broken by unscrupulous persons, and therefore it again had to be taught to Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So all Vedic literatures are currently from the very beginning of the creation of the material world, and thus the Vedic literatures are known as Aparuseya, not made by man. The Vedic knowledge was spoken by the Lord and first heard by Brahma, the first created living being within the universe.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Swapna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Can you just highlight Prabhuji?
You can read this two paragraphs.
Yeah. Yes. Maharaja Ikshvaku, one of the sons of Vaivasvata Manu. He had 100 sons. He prohibited meat eating. His son Sasada, is it right, Prabhuji?
Yeah, Sasada.
Sasada became the next king of his death. Manu, the Manu mentioned in this verse as the father of Ikshvaku, is the seventh Manu of the name Vaishnavata Manu, the son of sun god Vivaswan, to whom Lord Krishna instructed the teachings of Bhagavad Gita prior to his teaching them to Arjuna. Mankind is a descendant of Manu. This Vaivasvata Manu had 10 sons named Ikshvaku, Nabaga, Drishta, Saryati, Narisyanta, Nabaga, Drista, Kurusa,
Pushadara.
Prasadara, and Vasuman. The Lord's intention, Matsya, the gigantic fish, was invented during the beginning of Vaivasvata Manu's reign. He learned the principles of Bhagavad Gita from his father, Vivasvan, the sun god, and he re-instructed the same to his son, Maharaja Ikshvaku. In the beginning of the Treta Yuga, the sun god instructed devotional service to Manu, and Manu, in his turn, instructed it to Ikshvaku for the welfare of the whole human society.
Hare
Lord Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Sagar Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Lord Rama, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, incarnated himself as Sri Rama, accepting the sonhood of his pure devotee Maharaja Dasaratha, the king of Ayodhya. Lord Rama descended along with his plenary portion, and all of them appeared as his younger brother. In the month of Chaitra, on the 9th day of the growing moon in the Treta Yuga, the Lord appeared as usual to establish the principles of religion and to annihilate the disturbing elements. When he was just a young boy, he helped the great sage Vishwamitra by killing Subahu and striking Maricha, the two demons who were disturbing the sages in their daily discharges of duties. The Brahmanas and the Kshatriyas were meant to cooperate for the welfare of the mass of the people. The Brahmana sages endeavored to enlighten the people by protecting knowledge, and the Kshatriyas were meant for their protection. Lord Ramchandra is the ideal king for maintaining and protecting the highest culture of humanity, known as Brahmanya Dharma. The Lord is specifically the protector of the cows and Brahmanas, and hence he enhances the prosperity of the world. He rewarded the administrative demigods by affecting weapons to conquer the demons through the agency of Vishwamitra. He was present in the bow sacrifice of King Janaka, and by breaking the invincible bow of Shiva, he married Sita Devi, daughter of Maharaja Janaka. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Jagannath Prabhu. Hare Krishna Jagannath Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. After his marriage, he accepted the exile in the forest of 14 years by the order of his father, Maharaja Dasharatha, to help the administration of the demigods. He killed 14,000 demons, and by the integrities of the demons, his wife Sita Devi was kidnapped by Ravana. He made friendship with Sugriva, who was helped by the Lord to kill Vali and brother of Sugriva. By the help of Sugriva, who was helped by the Lord to kill.
By the help of Lord Rama.
By the help of Sugriva. By the help of Lord Rama, Sugriva became the king of the Vanaras, a race of warriors. The Lord built a floating bridge of the stones on the Indian Ocean and reached the Lanka, the kingdom of Ravana, who had kidnapped the Sita. Later on, Ravana was killed by him, and Ravana's brother Vibhishana was installed on the throne of Lanka. Vibhishana was one of the brothers of Ravana, a demon, but Lord Rama made him immortal by his blessings. On the expiry of 14 years after settling the affairs of Lanka, the Lord came back to his kingdom, Ayodhya, by flower plains. He instructed his brother Satrughna to attack Lavanasura, who reigned at Mathura, and demons was killed. He performed 10 Ashwametha sacrifices, and later on he disappeared while taking a bath in the Saryu River. The great epic Ramayana is the history of Lord Rama's activities in the world, and the authentic Ramayana was written by the great poet Valmiki.
12.20 Translation of purport by Devan Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Hare Krishna Saraswati Mataji Akshay Prabhu, you can share that too. Hare Krishna Saraswati Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Translation: This child will be a munificent donor of charity and protector of the surrendered, like the famous King Shibi of the Ushinara country, and he will expand the name and fame of his family like Bharata, the son of Maharaj Dushyanta. Purport: A king becomes famous by his acts of charity, performances of yagnas, protection of the surrendered, etc. A Kshatriya king is proud to give protection to the surrendered souls. This attitude of a king is called Ishvara Bhava, or factual power to give protection in a righteous cause. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord instructs living beings to surrender unto him, and he promises all protection. The Lord is all powerful and true to his word, and therefore he never fails to give protection to his different devotees. The king, being the representative of the Lord, must possess this attitude of giving protection to the surrendered souls at all risk. Maharaj Shibi, the king of Ushinara, was an intimate friend of Maharaj Yayati, who was able to reach the heavenly planets along with Maharaj Shibi. Maharaj Shibi was aware of the heavenly planet where he was to be transferred after his death. And the description of this heavenly planet is given in the Mahabharata, Adi Parva 96.6-9. Maharaj Shibi was so charitably disposed that he wanted to give over his acquired position in the heavenly kingdom to Yayati, but he did not accept it. Yayati went to the heavenly planet along with the great rishis like Ashtaka and others. On inquiry from the rishis, Yayati gave an account of Shibi's pious acts when all of them were on the path to heaven. He has become.
Hello.
He has become a member of the assembly of Yamaraj, who has become his worshipable deity. As confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, the worshipper of the demigods goes to the planets of the demigods. Yanti Deva Vrata Devan. So Maharaj Sibi has become an associate of the great Vaishnava authority Yamaraj on that particular planet. While he was on the earth, he became very famous as a protector of surrendered souls and a donor of charities. The king of heaven once took the shape of a pigeon hunter, bird, eagle, and Agni, the fire god, took the shape of a pigeon. The pigeon, while being chased by the eagle, took shelter on the lap of Maharaj Sibi. And the hunter eagle wanted the pigeon back from the king. The king wanted to give it some other meat to eat and requested the bird not to kill the pigeon. The hunter bird refused to accept the king's offer, but it was settled later on that the eagle would accept flesh from the body of the king of the pigeon's equivalent weight. The king began to cut flesh from his body to weigh in balance equivalent to the weight of the pigeon, but the mystic pigeon always remained heavier. The king then put himself on the balance to equate with the pigeon, and the demigods were pleased with him. The king of heaven and the fire god disclosed their identity, and the king was blessed by them. Devarshi Narada also glorified Maharaj Shibi for his great achievements, specifically in charity and protection. Maharaj Shibi sacrificed his own son for the satisfaction of human beings in his kingdom, and thus child Pariksith was to become a second Shibi in charity and protection.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Pushkala. Hare Krishna Pushkala.
Doshyante Bharata. There are many Bharatas in history, of which Bharata, the brother of Lord Rama, Bharata, the son of King Rishabha, and Bharata, the son of Maharaja Dushyanta, are very famous. And all these Bharatas are historically known to the universe. This earth planet is known as Bharata or Bharata Varsa due to King Bharata, the son of Rishabha. But according to some, this land is known as Bharata due to the reign of the son of Dushyanta. So far as we convinced, this land's name Bharata Varsa was established from the reign of Bharata, the son of King Rishabha. Before him, the land was known as Ilavarta Varsha, but just after the coronation of Bharata, the son of Rishabha, this land became famous as Bharata Varsha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Sapan Prabhu. Hare Krishna Sapan Kumar Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. But despite all this, Bharata, the son of Maharaj Dushyanta, was not less important. He is the son of the famous beauty Shakuntala. Maharaj Dushyanta fell in love with Shakuntala in the forest, and Bharata was conceived. After that, Maharaja forgot his wife Shakuntala by the curse of Kanva Muni, and the child Bharata was brought up in the forest by his mother. Even in his childhood, he was so powerful that he challenged the lions and elephants in the forest and would fight with them as little children play with cats and dogs. Because of the boys becoming so strong, more than the so-called modern Tarzan, the rishis in the forest called him Sarvadamana, or one who is able to control everyone. A full description of Maharaj Bharata is given in Mahabharata Adi Parva. The Pandavas or the Kurus are sometimes addressed as Bharata due to being born in the dynasty of the famous Maharaj Bharata, the son of King Dushyanta. Hare Krishna.
Today I'll stop it here. I have some other work. We'll meet again next on Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. the same time. Thank you so much for joining today's session. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo. Ananta koti Vaishnavavrinda ki Tantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sanjay
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna Prabhu, धन्यवाद
Thank you,
प्रभु.
Prabhuji.